wife is always like, "What's Randall watching?" He's always like this.
Not Miss Whitney. Oh,
he says that all the time. All right, we're back with another episode of Talking Preps. You guys almost saw what happened in the background. We had a really cool interaction between two of the coaches we're going to bring on, by the way. How we doing, Randall and Gary?
Doing good, man. Always good to be here.
Always good to be here. All right, we got a big season. Say again, Gary?
Best time of high school basketball season.
It is, absolutely is. All right, we'll get started with the show on the backside of this. All right, Gary. So this week, Donald Littlejohn finally got a head coaching job. You know, he's a guy that I thought should have gotten one a long time ago. Were you happy, surprised? What was your reaction when you heard he was getting the job?
I think it's the perfect place for him because he's a culture guy, and Hales and Newsom before him, you know, they established a great culture, and he's coached with Hales, so he knows what the Butler culture is about.
Right.
I think it's a good fit. Sometimes it's fit. You know, you may apply for several jobs, but I think he got the one that fits. And I think
let's ask the man himself. Coach Littlejohn, was this the job that fit?
Most definitely. You know, what I'm most excited about is the senior group I got coming up. They were freshmen when I was there last time. So when I got a chance to, you know, do my intro to the team on Thursday, when those kids walked in, they were smiling, man, and I was excited. They were excited. So I think I just fit well there. I think I would have fit well other places as well, but same time, man, what's for you is what's for you. You know, I've actually only applied to two other places. That was Mallard Creek and West Charlotte. You know, and it's all good to me. I think they picked the best guys for that job at the time, and I don't take it personal. And like I said, what's for you is what's for you. And what I did at those schools was great, you know.
What do you want to, or how do you want to put your stamp on a program? Coach Hales is on our show, as you know. How do you want to put your stamp on a program that he and Coach Newsom built?
So number one, it's not about my stamp. It's more about, you know, the culture. With me being there before, I understand the community. I understand the kids. I understand, you know, the tradition. My stamp is more or less just, you know, continue to build a relationship, continue winning. Definitely want to see, you know, Butler up and winning the way they used to in the past, the way it was when I was there last time. You know, we went 12-2. And last time I was there, we won the big game in Georgia against Langston Hughes.
Yeah,
you know? So, you know, I think it's more or less just it's not my era. It's just more or less my time to lead them, you know, and keep them going as far as culture based.
What's it take to get back to that status, though? Butler's had a couple losing seasons now.
Right. Relationship building. I got a lot coming back. You know, so I think it's going to take, I told those seniors, I'm going to lean on them right now for trust. I'm going to lean on them for, you know, honesty. And, you know, I get a chance to get my hands dirty. So they have a wonderful strength coach now, you know, but I also, too, want to work with him. I'm going to get in the weight room as well to, you know, kind of just get that up and going, a Butler strong type mentality and kind of go from there. So I just think, you know, getting back to Butler strong, grit, hard work again, my hands dirty, them seeing me work hard right there with them is what it's really going to take. So.
Yeah, Coach, I know you're humble and everything, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. Tell them the nickname I gave you.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I call him Ring King. Tell the public out there how many state championships you have as a player, assistant coach, and head coach. Tell them how many rings you got.
Yes, sir. As a player, I have 3 playing for Independence, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade year. Man, that was a great time. You know, ironically, Coach Knox texted me yesterday saying congratulations. And, you know, at 41 years old, that meant a lot. As far as a coach, won 3 in football at Mallard Creek. Then had a chance to go down to South Carolina and won 1 at South Point. And then most recently one was at West Charlotte. And then got a chance in 2015 to win a state championship. The first one at Mallard Creek as a head track coach. So that
wait. So that's 3 as a high school player.
Yes, sir.
3 as an assistant at Mallard Creek, which is 6.
Yes, sir.
7 as a track coach, which is 8. 1 at South Point, which is 9.
Yes,
and
sir.
1 at West Charlotte. You got 1 for each finger.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but the one I wear the most is my wedding ring. So my wife, that's the one that
Hey,
that's the one I'm most proud of, man, because that's the one team that I got to keep winning for the rest of my life, brother.
Yeah, Coach. Now, you've also had the privilege. You've been coached by the legend, Tom Knox.
Yes, sir.
Then you worked with Brian Hales, state champion coach. You worked with Paul Mary, state champion coach, and Brian Hale, state champion coach. Okay. Give me one thing.
Sam Garner, state championship coach.
Sam, I forgot. So you worked with 4 state championship coaches.
Okay.
Give me what each one of them did the best.
Got it. Okay. Paul Mary was the best, I would say. At he ran a tight ship for sure. You know, for me as a young coach, it was like being a GA. Like that's back when you had JV in the afternoon and varsity in the morning. So he gave me a great opportunity, but he was tough on me. Him and Aaron Brand were a big part of that. Because Aaron Brand was a big part of my hire too. They really made me work for my job, which let me know like how much I appreciated more. So they were good at bringing in young coaches and making them championship worthy. You know, my second one, Devontae Holloman down in South Point, man, he taught me how to love players different. He was real patient. He was actually, he's actually about 5 or 6 years younger than me. So he taught me humility and like, I didn't care that I was older than him. He let me come in and really do my thing offensively and, really learn how to love players down in South Carolina, mentality different. Hales is a culture guy. He's great at talking. Like he does these team speeches when the kids are eating and those kids buy in. He tells these stories. Even now, when Hales talks to me, I'm still quiet because he gives a lot of wisdom on like previous football years and memories in college and things like that. So I think he was great at like getting his players to play hard for him through like legendary stories and things. And then Griner, man, G is a like master motivator. He is he's like a WWE wrestler. Like he gets hype, he hops around, he has these sayings. And Griner is really good with resources. I saw he's really good at getting like outside sponsors to come in and help out. He provided the kids with a lot of different uniform combinations, a lot of like, we took them to a pool last summer with one of our, helpers and things like that. So like all of them have their strengths. So I want to take all that, what I've learned, even with Tom Knox, being my coach, man, just being tough, and give that to, what these Butler players need, Well,
Coach,
Langston did a story this week in the Observer on one of my coaching mentors in Gosnell Rusty White, who I played for as a 9th grader, and I still stay in contact with him. And a lot of people don't know, I do, about your dad being a coaching legend here in Charlotte at Cochran. I knew about your dad when I was playing sports in middle and high school. What are you going to take, besides being a great husband and father, from your dad, who was an awesome coach? And he probably he should be a legend. Langston did this story of coaching legends last year. And I think if your dad had been a high school coach, he'd have been on that legends list. What do you take from your dad?
I take humility. It's funny because my dad would come home and he would never talk about like football or winning. He would always say like little small things like one day you'll understand, one day you'll know who your dad was. And I didn't understand. I was like, Dad, I don't care about that. I need a skateboard or whatever. But I learned more about him after he passed away because people would stop by the house randomly and say, man, this Coach Littlejohn's house. And, you don't know what your dad did for me. So, he changed a lot of lives. even now I'm coaching people's children who were coached by him.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing he always told me was pinch your pennies and save money. And he told me to help people. And I think the big, even now I can hear him talking to me as far as like just memories wise. But make sure I'm helping people. Make sure, when I'm coaching is more or less, how can I help these young men? How can I have these side conversations with them to show them what it's like to be a grown man and to have responsibility, and to give back to others. So I think that's the biggest thing I learned from him, was just like, staying humble and giving back to other people. And that this Butler title or head coach was way less about me and more or less about, a lot more about my coaching staff and these players.
Yeah, before we let you go, Coach, we had Robert Williams on last week. You two coached at West Charlotte under Coach Griner last year. I asked him what do you do with all of his old gear. I want to ask you that same question. What do you do with all of his old gear?
I gave it to yeah, man, that's good. What I did was I texted McFadden. I was like, hey, bro, I got a lot of gear to give you because we had a lot of West Charlotte gear. And I gave it to him, man, and he was thankful, of course. So, him and another one of the up-and-coming West Charlotte coaches, Devin Mines, he actually played for me at Creek. I think he might be a DC for them now. He's going to be phenomenal too,
Breaking news.
Well, I believe so. So, but I told him and Devin, they can wear a lot of my stuff as far as size-wise, man. So, and they can take it. They're going to do well with it, man. And West Charlotte's going to be good, man. They are. That community is going to rally behind those coaches, and they'll be fine as well. They're in our conference, so is Robert Williams. And outside of seeing them Friday night, I still want to see all these guys succeed. So it's going to be a good thing for our conference. It's going to be exciting.
Well, that's what's up. But Coach, man, thanks for coming on. Best of luck to you, Butler. So happy to see you get a head coaching job. I've been waiting for it. I thought you deserved it a long time ago. So welcome to the brotherhood, as they say.
Man, thank you, man. I appreciate all y'all, man.
Ring King.
Hey, all right, Coach. Take care, sir.
Yes, sir.
Take care. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
10 rings. That is insane. 10 rings. All right, so we're gonna bring in another guy who's got a bunch of rings. Mr. Duane Lewis. How many rings you got, Duane? 4, 5, 6? How many rings you got? Duane can't hear me talking. Duane, we're talking to you. He can't hear me talking.
He can't hear you.
Oh,
there he is.
I can't hear. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
We got you.
Okay, I can hear Richmond. I can't hear anybody else.
You can't hear anybody else.
He knows who you want to listen to.
Gary,
Ask him how many rings he's got.
Dwayne.
Yes.
We just asked Coach Littlejohn how many rings he had, and he said 10. How many do you have as a player, assistant coach, whatever?
4.
We have 4.
Okay.
4.
Good.
Man, Littlejohn, man, he's hooked up with some good ones, I guess. He's a smart move there.
He has been with some legends.
No doubt.
Been with some legends.
Yeah, he has. I know he's been at the Creek and Chambers and over there at West Charlotte, so he's learned from some good ones.
Yeah, I asked the guys before we went on the air. Now I'm gonna ask you: was today the first time you ever practiced on a Sunday? And what was that like?
That was the worst thing ever for my players. I was owning that. I told them before the game on Thursday, I said, I'm fired up. And they're like, what are you talking, or Friday? They were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we better win tomorrow because I'm getting to practice on Sunday. First time in 29 years. They all looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, oh yeah, we're practicing Sunday. And you saw 4 all drop their head. And I'm like, state approved it. So we're ready to go. So I didn't kill them, but no, that's the first time ever. And it was good. I'm glad the state allowed us to do it, with us having to play again on Monday. So that was kudos to them. But our guys, you saw them. It was funny. It was good stuff. So I was laughing at them. But we only went in there. We only went in there for an hour.
Okay, one more, and I'm gonna let y'all have Dwayne. You've been around, and I'm not trying to age you or anything, but you've seen different ways that the state has set up the playoffs. You know, in 4 classes, you've seen them now in 8 classes, and then the way that I used to like the best was when you finished in first, you knew where you were going, or at least you knew you were going in a hat to get picked among first place teams, and then all the second place teams were put in a hat. Which way do you like the best?
Well, I know the state had to go to 8 classifications. My own personal opinion, I think it's too many. But that's okay. They say they're going to open more schools, but I think if we would have went 6, then 7, or at least 7. But I'm old school, like you're talking about. I remember the days that you could start scouting 3 weeks before, and you knew number 1 was going to play number 3. And the great thing about that was you were never going to play anybody from your conference.
Yeah.
No matter what, you were not going to play. And I think that's unfair because you could have played a team. That would be the 4th time if you played them twice during the regular season and in the conference tournament. But now I think most of us have figured out the RPI, and you can get it down to 2 or 3 of who you're going to play. So that's worked out. But I enjoyed it a long time ago when we did it, as you were saying. Number 1 played number 3, number 2 played a number 3. So I like that, but I'm fine with it now. Whatever they're going to do, they don't care what we think. Not in a bad way. You just got to roll with it.
Yeah.
Coach Lewis, I have a couple questions for you. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I got you.
Okay, good deal. Well, congratulations on another regular season championship. But 2 things that stand out about North Meck over the years that I've been around the business is, number 1 is defense. I think North Meck continues to be the best defensive team in the state, especially as team defense. And number 2, you got probably the best JV program in the state. Tell me, your thoughts of how the JV program really contributes to the success of the varsity. And you have a pretty good player at Duke that was on the JV program not too long ago.
Yes, Isaiah was a special one, but I think that with us only having 1 gym, a lot of schools have 2 gyms now. We've always had that situation, and we've always practiced together every year. And I think our JV guys going up against our varsities makes a difference. This year, we didn't get to do it as much, but we practice together. We do our skill work together. They run what we're doing for the most part. I let my JV coach do what he wants to, but they see what we're doing and what the expectation is. So I think the guys understand from 9th, 10th to 11th to 12th what is expected, and if it's for them. That's the thing. They got to figure out if this is what they're wanting, because everybody says they work hard every day, but we feel like we put a lot of time into it, and we work extremely hard at trying to be a whole program. We're big on culture, and we try to ingrain it into them from the 9th grade up. So that's the thing with that JV program is huge.
Yeah,
so and then you got to have buy-in. Look, the deal is, and we know it. People, hey, you're gonna go to North and play JV, or you're gonna do that, and that's part of it. We always say, what's the end result? Or if you play JV for us, you're still getting to be seen by the 75 coaches who come in our gym during the fall. And so you're getting seen. I had a kid a few years ago, Davion Cunningham, who's at Morehead State right now. He got offered as a 10th grader on our JV program, and he was playing JV, and that's where he needed to play, and that's what helped him develop. But, we think that with college coaches and where our program is, they're going to be in there. And it's not like, oh, you got to go sit down. We got our JV players play with the varsity players, and if you're good enough, that's what college coaches get paid for. They get to see the big picture and development, and not who you are as a 9th or 10th grade, who you're going to be. So, those guys, my first team JV goes up against my first or second team varsity every day at some point in practice. So we're trying to develop them as well.
Richard, go ahead.
Coach, you touched on it when you talked about culture. How hard is it to keep the culture going? Because many coaches I talk to say it's harder to stay at the top than it is to get at the top and you've been there for a long, long time, and your kids know what the expectation is, that doesn't mean other teams aren't coming at you as hard as they can each and every night.
You know, cliche is we have standards and expectations from our coaches all the way down to our players, and we're not going to lower them. And we also know that, luckily we've been blessed. We're blessed. From Coach Holden on, we've always been fortunate to have some good players, and we've been able to maintain. And I just think that there's a buy-in. And like I said, we have people transfer out, and that's okay. You got to be bought into what we're expecting. And, we're really big on role setting, and we tell the kids up front. I mean, through the progression of summer to the fall to the winter, this is where we see you. We think you can be there next year, but right now, you have to fit in. I mean, I look at it with our players this year. Xavier Young, we talked about it in practice day, 10th grade. He played JV his 9th grade, 10th grade. He was just a cleanup guy, go dive on the floor. Now he's our main cog. Ashton, 9th grader, we had him at point guard, was one of the best things in his development. Then 10th and 11th grade, we moved him back over. We need you to make open shots and, play off Isaiah and Trey. And then last year, him and Chadlin really got it. Now this year, it's his show. And I think with the success we've had, that the players understand and have seen the progression and what has happened with a lot of the previous players, and they're being successful at colleges and they're getting recruited. It isn't always about that, but last year we had 6 seniors, all 6 of them are playing. That's our thing, player development and trying to get kids opportunity to go play in college. And if they don't go to college, just opportunity to better themselves, go to college if they want to, and just be a student. So we're trying to develop the guys.
Duane, you won a state championship in 2005. Is it hard to win a state championship now that it was 20?
But stay playing at the top. I'll go with that one. It is hard because we know that we're catching it every night, but our guys embrace that. They really do embrace it, and we know that we have to be prepared night in and night out. And I think that's with the schedule that we play and what we're doing, we're trying to lead us down to the path that we're on right now. We go away a lot of times at Christmas. Like this year, we played Bearden, who's ranked like 10th in the nation. We played Mount Carmel, who was ranked top 75 in the nation. Last year, we went down there and played St. Thomas Aquinas or Aquinas, that finished 12th in the nation. The year before that, we were at City of Palms. So we're trying to go do things, go play Milton, Georgia, play Wheeler. We're trying to play schools from outside of here that are high level, that is going to prepare us for the playoffs and in tight game situations. And it's worked out for us. And, our conference changed this year. So now every game is a war. Before you might have had a give me here, there. It's not now. So I'm just proud of the guys for matching everybody else level, and we've been more successful than not.
RC, go ahead.
Coach, I know every team is different, and I think my question is just what makes this team different than the last couple of years? What kind of separates them? Did you hear me, Coach Lewis?
He didn't hear you. Gary asked that question.
Yeah, what RC was asking you, he knows you're going to say that every team is different. How does this year's team differ from your last 2 years?
Well, I think Rick said it. We're really good defensively. We always want to be good defensively, but I think we're really good defensively, and I think that we've run our sets really well this year. Not that before, but I think the guys really run those sets, and they have now. The great thing I've seen here lately is that now they're calling their own plays out there without having me to call them every time, and that's what you want. So, and this to buy in. Ashton and Xavier Young have been great leaders, along with Alex White and Xavier Davis. All my seniors how they've been in those championship runs, and they've the younger guys are able to lean on them. And Wilson Eswick, my other senior, my point guard, he's really had an unbelievable year for us.
Yeah. Duane, the adjusted snow schedule is caused 4 games in 6 days. Is that too much? I don't know. Gary asked that question. I don't think you can hear me.
Okay, yeah, Duane, I don't know if you can see it. It's printed on screen, but anyway.
Oh, okay. The snow adjusted schedule.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, you don't want to do it, but it is what it is. Hey, at least we're getting to play. And I think most of the teams would say that. Would you have liked for it to have had a practice day tomorrow and play on Tuesday? Sure, but with us going to all these extra classifications, they got to get the games in at some point. So we're just pumped that we're getting to play tomorrow.
Duane, as I was at your game last week against West Charlotte Championship, I was sitting with a North Meck parent, and they were kind of nervous about the game. And I told them, I said, look, don't worry. They're going to win. North is going to win. He was like, how do you know? And I said, culture. And earlier you mentioned culture. And I told the parents, I say, it starts with the small things. And I know Randall's going to laugh when I say this because I'm big on this. I said, both North Meck teams are going to win because they wear the same shoes. I said, their coach won't even let them out the locker room wearing any pink or green or yellow shoes. I say, it starts right there. How do you get today's kids? Because we came in coaching about the same time. You lasted a lot longer than I did, but it was easy to get kids to wear, the same shoes, the same socks. And people ask me today, how come you can't coach? And I say, I can't talk to today's kids. They'll have, they'll go back and tell their parents, or they'll go tell the principal something I said. How have you changed in how you talk to kids to get that culture to stay the same way it's always been? Because I know you can't talk to them the same way we did in the 90s, early 2000s. So how did you change?
I just think that as you get older, you get wiser. I think that's what they all say. But it's a non-negotiable. It's the standards and expectations. And I tell them in the parent meeting from the start, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what expected. So I think if you're up front with parents, most of them are good with everything, which we were doing that in the late 90s and 2000s also. But, they know that we're wearing the team shoes. They know we're doing that. And like if one of them blows out, I had one the other day, his shoe blew out. Then at the end of the year, if they end up in something else, you got to live with it. And as far as, I think that most kids, they know that if you're doing right by them, that you care about them, that they're going to be fine with it. And parents are always going to be parents. I've been blessed with a lot of really good parents, but that doesn't mean someone like, gosh, he's tough or whatever. I mean, that's part of it, but that's part of coaching. And you got to be able to say the tough things to kids to try to get them to where you're wanting them to go, because we always have a vision for every kid in our program, and you got to push them to get out of their comfort zone sometimes. But I have a great staff. The thing with us is we can show them tough love, but we do put a lot of time into building relationships with those kids. One of the best things I heard, Langston was talking the other day to Ashton, and he said something like, what's it really like with Lewis or something, somewhere along those lines, not in a bad way. And Ashton was like, oh man, he's the greatest guy around to talk to. And that's who all my coaches are. Those kids, they don't want to leave the locker room. We sit in there and talk and cut up and troll on each other, but they know that especially with me, when I walk through the door to go to the gym, it's business. And then as soon as I can get on a kid, but as soon as I walk through that door, I'm back to, man, they're my guys. I can cut up and talk to them about music or whatever they want to talk about. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to hold them accountable to what we're trying to accomplish as a program.
Speaking of accountability, and I know you don't want to rehash the past, but Langston asked me to ask you this. You had the incident involving West Charlotte in game 1, post game. Second game, you all didn't shake hands, and I know that's not your character. I know you believe in shaking hands. And then the third game, you looked like y'all weren't gonna do it, and then all of a sudden you said, "No, we're gonna shake hands. We're gonna do this the right way."
Yeah.
What do you think is going on with these post-game incidents? Because your game isn't the only one that's happened in. What is going? This is Audrey Kill and Myers Park we're looking at on film now. What is going on with these post-game incidents? Do you have any idea or solution or what?
No, I mean, I don't. Look, the thing that happened at West Charlotte, and I'll say it, that was an anomaly, man. I mean, like, look, Jacoby does a good job. Those kids are good kids. My kids are good kids, and that was a one-off, and it was unfortunate. Both teams, we take responsibility for it, but when we didn't shake hands, what is that teaching kids? I know Langston and something like we don't need to shake hands, but I just believe that's part of what sports.
Yeah, I think
teaches
it's
you.
the easy way out.
Yeah, and I tell mine all the time. I tell my kids all the time, like, hey, you win some, you lose some. If they beat you, hey, Huff beat us this year. It is what it is. Tip your cap and move on. You shake their hands like a man and move on with it. And that's part of it. And you know what? Sometimes that'll make you a better team. And for all the games played, thousands of games played, you can't let one incident or two incidents spoil it. Maybe, and I'm not saying it here on anybody, maybe security or whoever should come out there if they have to, a little bit earlier, especially if they know it's a high profile game. But, the second game, we didn't shake hands, and then they didn't have a shake hands at Chambers. And, but then the third game, Jacoby, he was sitting there, what are we doing? I was just like, man, let's just shake hands. I mean, that's what we done the whole time. You shake hands, and those kids are good kids. Not saying any West Charlotte kids' names but like we got high character kids. West Charlotte has high character kids. Unfortunate. Keep shaking hands and move on with it. And you don't want an incident to happen, but that's it. It's unfortunate.
Yes. We'd like for you to stay on with us in Coach versus Coach. We're gonna move the show around so you can debate with me and Randall and get your opinion as a coach. Can you join us?
Conference tournaments all the way. Randall's the man. He knows the deal. We don't even have to talk about it.
Yes,
there you go. Yeah. How about all those conference tournaments this year and how good the games were? Yeah.
Tell
Can you join us?
Yeah, just let me. How long will it be?
It takes about 5-10 minutes.
I know, but how much longer, y'all?
Oh,
I done missed the first half on Chad.
Log out and log right back in, and we're gonna do Coach versus Coach first, so you can go.
So I need to
just come
click off.
He needs click off and then click back on the stream, and we'll
just so we can hear everybody.
Okay,
so you can hear everybody. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's Duane Lewis. Sometimes you have technical difficulties, live TV. All right, so while Duane is coming back, we're going to real quick, we're going to talk about our players of the week. Randall, tell us who we got.
Well, we're starting off with Micaiah Allen over at Queens Grant. He had 32 points versus the Community School of Davidson on Saturday. Next up, Jackson Dollar once again at East Lincoln, 29 points and 14 rebounds with 8 assists against Crest. Lanice Joseph, our girl over at North Meck, in a 66-36 win over McDowell on Saturday. She had a game-high 34 points. Matt Rivlin over at Marvin Ridge in a 52-41 win over West Meck Saturday had 15 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and a half-court buzzer beater at halftime.
I saw that shot, Randall. That was a crazy shot. I saw that.
Yeah, earlier at West Cabarrus, he had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 2 assists. And Coach Rick Lewis's favorite point guard, Jaleel Smith over at Hunter Huss in a 67-59 win over Oak Grove Saturday, had 33 points, 8 rebounds, 5 steals, and 2 assists.
Duane, can you hear us now?
I can't hear you now.
All right. Tell us, how good is Lanice Joseph? Real quick, just 2 seconds. How good is Lanice?
Oh, she's really good. And what a work ethic. Like, she's really talented, but it was almost like Isaiah Evans. She works on her game at all times, so she deserves everything she's getting. A really hard worker and high character kid.
All right, Randall, real quick, let's talk a little bit about these girls' playoffs. Queens Grant going to play Cherokee. That is a big one.
It's a tough game, and it's a good matchup. The one thing that does work good for Queens Grant is they're not going to be Cherokee officials. That can always get tricky up there. The state's going to assign those officials, so it'll be interesting to see where they come from. I think it should be a very good game. Cherokee is rolling. So a tough game for Queens Grant to go.
Think about that game. You can't get intimidated in the pregame when they come out with the headdress and the chants and all that. You gotta not get intimidated. Otherwise, you're down 15-0 before it gets started. What do you see on that right side, Randall, on the quarterfinals on the 5A, 4A3? Anything that jumps out at you?
I mean, I think High Brighton and Maiden is the big one that jumps out when you're looking at the West. I mean, these are two incredibly talented teams that have been obviously playing well. That 4A has been a monster all season. So I think when you look at the West, that's a big time matchup.
Still not going to talk about Stuart Kramer, huh?
I mean Stuart Kramer and Pixar is going to be enough. I mean that's the West 4A is going to be very, very competitive. So, but I think both those games will be really, really good.
Yeah, she's only the state's all-time leading scorer.
For those of you guys who don't understand, I pick Randall all the time because he didn't pick O'Shauna Holland as midseason player of the year. She's only got 3,000 points. And then on the right side, Randall, what you see, Mallard Creek, Ardrey-Kell, neither one of those teams been to a state final. Somebody's going.
This is a rematch from earlier in the season. Mallard Creek won this earlier matchup by 9. I was joking with one of the girls from Mallard Creek today that now you get to play Ardrey-Kell again, but you got to go all the way to Lenore Ryan to do it. I know Coach Lewis knows something about having to play teams from Charlotte all the way up there at LR.
Yeah.
Yes.
That little gym. Because you were there in 2020. I was there, Duane. We were sweating together.
Yeah, that's right.
And then in the 7A, is anybody beating Lake Norman, Randall, on either side of the bracket?
I don't think so. I think this is the Lake Norman Invitational, as Gary likes to call it.
Well, that's my favorite coach, so I'm okay.
Hey, I just hope that Coach Baker has something in mind.
She better have something in mind to break that press. That's what she better have in mind.
Hey, teams of press don't like to get pressed.
Well,
that is true.
I've seen people try to do that to Mackenzie, and Mackenzie can coach, man. She got a solution. Let's talk about the boys' playoffs. Richard, let's start on the right side, 2A, 1A. What do you see?
Is it not crazy that 3 8 seeds win in 1 at 1 seeds?
That is crazy. That is
in
crazy.
1A,
that is crazy.
Lincoln in 3A, and in the 4A, you had Lincoln Charter do it. I mean, that is insane. And I think there's only one other one in the state that lost early, and it was in the Eastern, maybe 1A. I think Manio lost their first game, or won their first game, upset Northwest Halifax in the East 2A. So there's been only 4 ones that have gotten beat in all the brackets, and 3 were last night, all in an area just west of here.
All right, Rick, on the right side, let's start up top. Is anybody beating Joe Badgett's fighting? I don't even know what their nickname is. Queens Grants from Mid Hill.
I think they should go ahead and order the
Italians,
ring. I think they should go ahead and order the ring sizes for all the players of Coach Badgett, because I don't think anyone can come close to them in the 2A. And in all honesty, they're probably one of the better teams in the state in all classifications, along with North Mecklenburg.
Can we get a North Meck Queens Grant game next year, Duane? Can we get that?
I don't even think about my schedule. I think it's full. Jim Baker does it.
All right. I had to ask. On the left side,
I don't know why y'all try this. Y'all try this with Coach Lewis every year, and he somehow. Hey, Coach Lewis is really good at that too.
Duane's my guy, man. Duane's my guy. All right, left side, Rick. What do you see?
On the left side, I think Salisbury is going to be the team to come out of the West. I think they have a very good team. They played a pretty good schedule for a 4A team. They played some of the teams in the upper divisions, and I really like what they have. I think they'll be the
Reedsville, though. Can they beat Reedsville, though?
I don't think anyone's going to beat Reedsville, to be honest with you. They're the team to beat.
All right. And then what about in the 3A side of things? Who you like coming out? Both sides.
I think the surprise team there is going to be Walkertown out of Winston-Salem. I think they're the team that they have played Reidsville several times this year, and every game's been very close. They've lost like 2 and 3 points, and they've also they're a 3A team, but again, with their schedule this year, they played teams in the 6, 7, and 8A, which sort of deflects on their schedule somewhat, but they have sort of ventured out and played teams outside their classification. So I think they're going to be the sleeper team out of the West.
All right, let's before we get to Duane's side, let's talk about the 6A and the 5A. Charlotte Catholic still hanging around. They're trying to make it like 2016 again.
Well, in the 5A, I think if you look at Hickory, Hunter Huss, East Lincoln, and J.M. Robinson, we've had them in the top classification the entire year. We've also had all those teams in the Sweet 16. I think the 5A and the 7A is probably two of the most competitive classifications in the state.
Wow.
I do think with Hunter Huss, I think, they have a bullseye on them, but again, they have Jaleel Smith, and he's one of the best all-around players in the state. And although he's a sophomore, I think they're still the favorite, but those games are going to be very competitive.
What about the 6A? Can the Fighting Catholics get out of there and go to state championship game?
I think it's going to be a battle between Charlotte Catholic and Ben Smith. Ben Smith has Jai Dalton, who's probably one of the better players in the state that will be in contention with, Mr. Basketball with some of the others, especially Deontay Neal from Reidsville. Those two players have the best cumulative stats of any two players in the state.
That's crazy.
Their stat line is absolutely crazy between points, rebounds, assists, steals. Those are two of the better players. So I do think the edge goes to Ben Smith because they sort of played a little bit of a tougher schedule, but I think Charlotte Catholic's there as well.
All right, Duane, what time are you guys playing tomorrow? And give us a scouting report for Hickory Ridge. Stop Travian Williams, but besides that.
We play at 7 o'clock tomorrow night at North, and Hickory Ridge, a well-coached team. The Williams kid is good, but they have a whole starting lineup of just good athletes that do a great job of playing fast and playing in transition. So we'll have our hands full. We hopefully our defense comes tomorrow and we can keep up with them running up and down the floor.
Yeah, Randall, Mooresville shocked at least me by how they beat Independence. Not that they beat Independence, but how. How do you see them in the matchup with Marvin Ridge? They're going to want to run, and Marvin Ridge is going to kind of slow it down and shoot those threes.
Yep, it's going to be two opposite styles of play. Mooresville is definitely going to play fast, up and down. Marvin Ridge going to slow it down a little bit and shoot the three, like you said. I think the big question for Marvin Ridge, during this playoff run is just going to be like, how healthy are they? They're dealing with some injuries to some guys, and if those guys are able to, continue to fight through and play at a high level, I think it should be a good game tomorrow night.
Rick, no Charlotte team has three-peated since the 70s in South Meck and the great Dave Price. Can our friend Duane do that this year? And who will he play in the state championship game if he gets there? Who's coming out of East?
I'm going to say Duane will get there. That's one thing we talked about is culture. And the one thing I've been impressed with this year is, every year – they lose somebody and they go, well, next year is when we're going to get North Meck. But next year no one gets them. I guess with the overall team defensive that they do, I think that, like I said before at the beginning of the show, I think they're the best team defensive team in the state. They play very well together. They're very well coached. I think the biggest challenge for them is going to be Southern Durham. They feature two really good players, A.J. Mormon, who's one of the better guards in the state, and also K.J. Terry. Those are two players that could be at a mid to high major level. So I think that's going to be the championship game for the 7A.
And then looking up at the 8A, Duane, are you familiar at all with West Forsyth?
No, we played them a year or two in the playoffs. They were at 4A, but I know they've always had a really strong program and always had we thought we were going to play them last year. That's when Watauga beat Mount Tabor on the last second shot, and then Watauga went to West Forsyth and beat them. But they're always a really strong program with a lot of really good players. So they're a tough team.
Yeah. I can tell you this. West Charlotte better be ready for the press. When you want to talk about somebody trying to press you out of the gym, West Forsyth is going to try to press them out of the gym tomorrow.
That could be interesting because I think West Charlotte likes to play racehorse, and if they want to play racehorse, they could be interesting.
Yeah, but you got to be careful when you play racehorse with them because you got to make sure you take good shots. You're strong playing off 2 feet, finishing at the basket because West Forsyth wants it to be a track meet.
Well,
Rick,
the other thing about
hold on, Rick, before you go, will Lenore Ryan be sold out? Can't move, can't breathe for that game. Rick, that's a question for you. Rick. Rick Lewis. Rick Lewis.
Absolutely. And anytime West Meck and North Meck, West Charlotte and North Meck play, you're going to have a sold out crowd. They both have a great fan base, and people will follow them. Even if they're not pulling for them, they'll be there to pull against them. But those are two premier teams in the state. But when you look at West Forsyth and West Charlotte, I think the thing about it is looking at West Forsyth, they're undefeated.
Yeah,
they have so much balance. They have like 7 players that average between 8 and 12 points. So they're a team, like Randall said, their offense is predicated on their defense. So they share the ball. They don't have a primary person that really scores. They have scoring by a team. Yeah. I think the thing for West Charlotte is they have superior talent. They have the athleticism, the length, the skill set. I think it's just a situation for West Charlotte to understand how good they really can be and just be more disciplined and just be more consistent on the court and have a sense of urgency. I think sometimes they come out there on the court and they feel like they're going to win and they find themselves a little bit behind, like they did against South Mecklenburg. And then that
was the exact South Meck recipe. You're right. That was exactly what happened. Can Laney or Hargard beat West Charlotte or West Forsyth, or is the state championship coming out of the West?
Hoggard is a team that's pretty good, and they're very well coached, and they've played a very good schedule this season. So, I wouldn't sleep on Hoggard just because the coach that they have there, he does a great job, and Duane knows him very well.
All right.
Yeah.
Those should be some really good games. All right, it's time for my favorite part of the show, and this is the reason why we asked Duane to stay. So I'm going to put Richard and Rick in the back. And we do this thing, Duane, we call coach versus coach. And I just ask you guys questions, and you just respond whatever you want to say is in bounds.
Your voice went away, Langston. I couldn't hear you.
You couldn't hear me? Well, can you hear Gary? Gary, say something to him.
Can you hear me? Can you
hear me? Anybody.
He gonna leave out of here and not come back this time.
I know, right?
Watch Chad play.
No, I couldn't hear what Langston said, but I'm ready to roll.
Who can you hear now, Coach?
I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. Tell him to log out and come back one more time before we get started.
He said log out and come back in before we get started. I told him all right.
It's live TV, y'all. We're trying.
Coach Lewis is a good sport because I'm telling you right now, if I was him, I'm logging out, not coming back. I'd be going to watch this game.
He's gonna see the second half of it. We're actually doing pretty good on time. But it's live TV, y'all. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but we're trying to get to the playoffs and the coach versus coach and all the good stuff. And I was wondering, Randall, on the 8A. Oh, here's Duane.
All right, let's go.
All right, now can you hear me, Duane?
I can hear you.
All right, here we go. We're gonna do coach versus coach. Let me find the theme music. All right, Duane, since you're the guest, you get to go first. Should girls and boys sectional playoffs be played on separate days?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with it being played together. I think it's great for both programs. We have a great fan base for our girls program at North Meck, so I think it benefits me. We have so many people who want to support our girls that I think it's a good thing.
Gary,
I think they should be played on separate days just because I was thinking of North and I thought about my process back when I was advanced and boys and girls went to the state championship that year. We played on separate days, so you don't divide the student body. And in our case, advanced that year, we had Kendra Holmes, who was on the program last year, was in the girls program, and her brothers were in the boys program. So that would have been tough had we been playing the same night for her parents to have to decide who's going to see the daughter play and who's going to see the sons play. So you don't have to divide, decide when you're playing at the same different days. You don't have to decide who the cheerleaders are going to cheer for and all that kind of stuff. I just wish it was on separate days. So schools that have a good program like North, boys and girls, people don't have to pick one or the other. They can support both.
RC?
I'm gonna go with Coach Lewis here. I think it's beneficial to have them play on the same nights. I think, we watch a lot of these girls' games, and obviously not North and Mallet Creek, not them, but sometimes if the boys aren't playing, there's nobody that shows up for the girls, and I don't think that's right. But I think it's for those programs that do have strong programs, both boys and girls, it's pretty beneficial.
All right, this is a great question. This is a great question. Go ahead, Duane.
The one thing I'd say about that, with the ticket prices going up higher and higher and higher, it was, I think, $12 or $14 the other night. So if it goes down for a single game, 12 on Monday and 12 on Tuesday, you're making them pick anyway. So at least if it's a double header, they're only paying $13 or $14. They're getting to see 2 games, because eventually high school kids, their parents are going to make them choose.
Yeah, absolutely. Duane, this is a really good question for you. So you're on the screen. What percentage of winning high school games is coaching? What percentage is talent?
Well, I mean, I think, again.
And hold on. This man is the all-time winningest boys basketball coach in Charlotte history. That man right there. Go ahead, Duane.
Well, you definitely have to have talent. It's the bottom line. You have to have talent. You got to have good players. There's no doubt about it. I think when it comes down to 2 really good teams or teams that are similar, coaching does come into play. But, you have to have talent. That's the bottom line. And coaching matters. But, always good to have players.
RC.
I got to tag along with him. I think coaching does matter, and it's important. But if you don't have talent, it doesn't matter. But I also think that the coaching is more, like we talked about earlier in the show, about culture and having the right kids in the program and having accountability. Like, especially at the high school level, all that stuff matters.
Yeah, Gary.
Well, I think at the boys level, I think what Duane said is apropos. You got to have talent, and then I'd say 20% of it is coaching and culture. But with girls, if you got talent, you don't need coaching until you get to maybe the round that we're in now.
Yeah.
The talent discrepancy in girls basketball, and I'm just going to use CMS as an example. The top 2 teams in all 3 conferences, good. Yeah. There was no middle class, and there was no everything else were very not talented at all. Yeah. And so you could just take one of the top teams and just roll the ball out there, and the coach didn't even have to be there. So I think that it's closer. I mean, talent does. Let me say this the right way. Coaching matters when you get to boys, because you can have a coach out coach somebody else who's got equal talent. Right. Duane does it regularly, where he's playing against teams that have better talent, bigger players, and his team still wins. But at the girls' level, it's just talent.
All right. Last question, Gary. In high school, would you rather have a dominant post player or a dominant point guard?
And once again, I differentiate. Well, I'm gonna give you an example. I think the point guard is more important in high school. I was coaching at Providence High School when Antoine Jameson was out there. Yeah. And he was the most dominant, the best player in the state for 2 years. And they never won a conference championship. And they never went far in the state championship, never won a tournament championship. And it's because he didn't have any guards to get him the ball. Right. And the guards they had, they didn't understand what a good shot. They didn't understand that they had the best player in the state on their team. So I think having guards that understand the game and how the coach wants the game to be played is more important in high school than a dominant post player, because you rarely get one.
RC?
I'm going dominant post player. Give me somebody I can throw the ball down on the block to, make those doubles and triples come, and we'll work on, running the offense off that. I just think if ran the right way, getting the ball inside, but also on the defense end, I think, you got all these players that want to play downhill and everybody wants to get to the rim. Give me a big dominant post presence that can block shots and rebound the basketball, and it's going to help me on both ends of the floor.
Duane, you won a state championship in 2005 with a dominant post. You won a state championship in 2025 with a dominant point guard. What's your answer?
In today's world and the way we have to play is, I think guards are crucial. I think, it's great to have a big, but, you got to have guards. And I've been since Huff opened, we've never had any really bigs anymore. So I'm so used to playing with guards. So I would edge. Jamie was unbelievable, and Ben Stywall, but I think if you got a good point guard, you can control it and stay in games, whether you're running or if you're going to slow the game down.
Yeah. Well, Duane, thanks for coming on with us. I know you want to watch your
Coach Lewis, last thing before you go, I did not forget. I have these tag-alongs that have your name on them. I didn't forget. So as soon as I see you, I'm dropping this box off to you.
There you go. I appreciate that.
And Duane, tell Lauren, your daughter, good luck in the postseason. She's had a great season this year too.
Yes.
No, that's what she's a big culture. So you're talking about that. Like, I have to shout out her. Like, Langston asked me, what do you get excited about watching Lauren coach? But they went from 2 wins before she got there to 7 to 19. She's done an unbelievable job and turned it around. She plays tomorrow night. They got a bye, first time that's happened, but she's done an unbelievable job up there, and hopefully she keeps it rolling.
Absolutely. Well, Duane, best of luck on Monday in the playoffs, and hopefully we'll see you down the road, okay?
All right, we'll see you. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming. That is Duane Lewis. He is the winningest boys basketball coach in Mecklenburg County history. He's got 588 of them. Rick, I was curious your thoughts. Point guard or post player?
Point guard, 100%.
Why?
I think point guards can control tempo, both offensively and defensively, but especially on the offensive side. And then if you don't have a good point guard to make those entry passes into a post player, then that post player is not going to be very good anyway.
And that's actually a lost art, Coach Rick. I think we watch enough basketball. These kids nowadays, they just don't know how to throw the ball into the post. So that's a very good point.
Richard's frozen. Are you frozen or are you talking?
I've never had a coach tell me that he would pick a post player over a point guard, because if you've got a point guard, you can run your plays. You can teach guys that aren't classic post players to be effective in the post.
That's true. Richard,
obviously, you can't turn a 5'8" guy into a great post player, but how many times have we seen effective 6'2" to 6'5" undersized post players? And if you don't have a point guard, I love what Gary was saying earlier about the Antoine Jamison thing. I remember watching those teams.
Yeah.
Everybody in the league said, all you got to do is make their point guards make mistakes, pressure them, and Jamison doesn't get the ball. Any coach I've ever talked to is always like, if I got a good point guard and 2 good guards, I can run my plays and I can make post players that aren't great post players. If they just learn to shoot layups and hit free throws when they're fouled, I can win with that.
That's
Richard, coach versus coach doesn't work if I always agree with Gary.
Richard, I had a question for you. As the person who sees more of these games in person than any of us, what do you think about the 8A West in 7A and 8A regionals? What do you think about those?
Well, I understand what Coach Lewis is saying. It is what it is, but there are too many. I mean, I would love to see a 4th North Meck West Charlotte game. We probably would have one. I mean, and then, I think Rick Lewis referenced this earlier. I mean, there are a lot of people statewide think Ben Smith's the best team. They're in 6A. So, obviously the teams that they're playing should challenge them, but maybe they won't. I mean, Kings Mountain's out of the blue. They're a low-seeded team getting in there. I think Ben Smith beat them pretty handily last year in an earlier round matchup.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have kids. I don't want to diminish the value of winning a state championship, but it does feel somewhat diminished with so many champions.
Everybody gets a trophy. Like
everybody gets a trophy. Yeah.
Everybody gets a trophy. So did you just say West Charlotte's going to beat West Forsyth in a roundabout way?
I don't know. I mean, I think West Charlotte. The thing about West Charlotte that I think we have been probably guilty of, they're so young and we expect them to not be young. Now they're in the late part of the season.
Yeah.
This is time to see what they can show and do. West Forsyth may really, really be good and handle them. But even the times that West Charlotte has lost, and I'm including Oak Hill in this, West Charlotte was competitive in the game. I'm not seeing people overwhelm them.
Yeah. Well, Queens Grant did.
North Meck in the Meck Power 6 championship game kind of broke their spirit early in the fourth quarter, but nobody's overwhelmed them.
Right.
So I expect West Charlotte to give West Forsyth all they want, even if West Forsyth wins the game.
Okay.
Well, West Forsyth has some youth on their squad too. They're not they have a couple seniors that are pretty good, but they're also dominated by some underclassmen as well.
Right.
And I do think, this time of season where, we're talking about sophomores, they're no longer sophomores, but they're actually, they got a year of experience as a sophomore. They should be playing as juniors.
Right.
West Charlotte has a little bit of a caveat because they added the Janan Singh middle of the year, and obviously then the snow hits. So they've had a handful of stop and start moments that have not aided the chemistry that they should have probably by this time of the year. But now, think about all that they've been criticized for, and now it's right. They're 2 games away from winning the state championship. So good luck.
Yeah. All right, we've come to that time of the show. It's time to put Randall as one shot. Randall, what are your final thoughts?
No, this is a short and sweet one. I think I just want to, congratulate, the High School Association of North Carolina for making a great decision and allowing teams to practice on Sunday since they have games tomorrow. I think it's a situation that we haven't seen before, like Coach, Lewis said, unprecedented in 29 years that he's been coaching. So I think the ability to make adjustments and changes on the fly, they made the right decision. I just wanted to say, I think we condemn them a lot and criticize them a lot for the classifications and some of the state of high school basketball in North Carolina. But I think this was one where they got the decision right. So I just wanted to tell them congratulations.
Yeah, speaking of state associations, the private schools hit a home run putting that thing. Everybody I heard it would look at Richard Knight and said, putting that thing at the Novant Health Fieldhouse is smaller than it used to be, and it's loud, and the fans are right on top of you. And next year, they're talking about going back to high school sites. Private schools, stay at Novant. Trust me, stay at Novant. Neutral site. The kids had a good time. I heard from so many parents how much they love that place.
Well, think about this. Coach Springer lost the game, and as I was walking away from my interview, he says, "How great was this? I hope we come back."
Yeah,
and that's a coach you lost.
Rich, I must have gotten 20 texts, DMs, and emails. People saying how much they love that. Marvin Ridge people, I heard your emails. Send us results from the game. You're not sending them, so it's hard to. There's no AP wire service for high schools. I don't know what you're doing unless somebody sends it to us. Randall's laughing. All right. That is Randall Clark, the best trainer I know. That's Richard Walker. The only guy who's done this longer than me. That's Gary Richard, my frat brother, my good friend, and CMS's former coach. And that is Rick Lewis, the number one. You hear it every week. The number one high school voice of basketball in North Carolina. I say it every week. We're lucky to have Chris Hughes in football. We're so lucky to have Rick Lewis in basketball. I'm Langston, and we are done in 1 hour and 3 minutes, Gary, talking preps.